Hi, we're Laura and Kate from the SEND Consultancy Group and together for SEND Families in Kent.
Welcome to the Cherrywood podcast. It's Simon here.
It's Rachel here.
Please like, share and subscribe.
I feel this podcast is sponsored by the colour orange today. Everyone's got...
Yeah, you're very coordinated.
Yeah, we are, aren't we?
I feel like
and so are you.
Gradually emerged from orange into blue. Look at that. Now I've gone and done it.
Oh, God. What did he say to me?
I just like having a go at your age, to be honest. Right, can you girls talk for me so I can see if I can hear? Just say, do ABC. Do ABC.
ABC.
You don't have to sing it.
Or Twinkle Twinkle, it's the same tune, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, it's all going
to be a day.
I just realised that. And Baba Black Sheep, and I think there's about four of them.
Yeah. What, you've only just realised they're the same tune?
Yeah. ABC, Twinkle
But
Twinkle.
the Have You Any War isn't quite right, is it? A, B, C, D, E, N, F and G.
Oh, LMNOP.
Yeah, but you're not at that bit, are you? That's 3 bags full, isn't it? When he's why are we even talking about this? This all stays in.
Be random
this
stuff.
crap stays in. Ladies, thanks for coming. So we've got Kate and we've got Laura, am I right?
Yeah,
and you're from, do you want to talk about where you're from?
The SEND Consultancy Group.
And we're organising an event called Together for SEND Families in Kent.
So can you explain to everyone what the SEND Consultancy Group is exactly?
Yeah, so the SEND Consultancy Group is a legal advocacy for parents and families of children with special educational needs, and making sure that parents really know what their child's educational rights are, so that they can get the right level of support that they need at school or out of school, as some children are.
Today's sponsors are Disabilities Associates, Chartered Structural and Civil Engineers.
Based in the UK with a worldwide reach.
Visit their website on disabilitiesassociates.com.
Right at Home Medway, providers of safe and trusted quality care for adults in the comfort of their own home. Whether you need companionship, medication assistance, personal care, living care or more, we've got you covered. Visit rightathome.co.uk/medway or call them on 01634 979 000.
Are you looking for a cleaning or facilities management? Clearwater Kent is your trusted local expert. From roofs and driveway cleaning to fully facilitated management, they're a fully licensed, award-winning business that you can count on. Visit clearwaterkent.co.uk or call 01634 681 885.
So what does SEND actually stand for?
Special educational needs and disabilities.
And disabilities, yeah. Okay.
Okay, Rach, can you push your mic away? Because when Laura talks to you, I'm going to need her to go into your mic.
Oh, push it here?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's a bit better.
Is that better?
Yeah, because I lost her voice again. Can you say what it stands for again?
Special educational needs and disabilities.
Oh, I can hear her lovely now.
Oh, good.
There we go. So how long have you been involved in it, and was you the founder or anything like that?
Yeah, so I've got my own SEND children, actually. So I've obviously been supporting them and advocating for them for a number of years. And through the difficulties that I had, I started to become more knowledgeable and took courses and trained in educational rights and the law, that, like the legal framework around it. And then I supported other families as well. I worked for another business as well, actually, as part of like advocacy as well, and then decided that I wanted to do things slightly different. And so I formed the SEND Consultancy Group back in March.
Oh, this year?
This year.
Oh, right. It's very new then.
Right. And I've been so busy, more than I ever imagined, actually. The need out there is just so much need, so many parents and children really struggling on a day-to-day basis, and I get it. I get it. I've got one of those families myself.
You've lived it though, haven't you? You've been through tribunal for your own kids. You've been through the EHC process for not just one, but
Do you
multiple.
want to take us through one of them stories about, your experience of that or not?
Yeah.
You were smiling at me as if to say, don't ask me this.
Oh, no, well, it makes me really emotional, actually.
Oh, excellent.
Because, got tissues then. Right, okay. Yeah, so I've got a brother who is autistic, actually. But I never envisaged that I would have an autistic child myself. And
when you say autistic, what sort of on the spectrum, because there's quite a varied spectrum. On the spectrum, where would you say he was at that point? Was he sort of needing a lot of care and a lot of attention all of the time?
My brother?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about him really, but he struggled at school when he was younger.
Okay.
And he would have real significant meltdowns, and my mum had to really fight the system for him as a child. But actually, he went to university, but something that my mum never thought that he would ever have actually.
They turn out to be the most intelligent people anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once they've got something they're into, that's it. They're into it full on.
Yeah. But I'd never really considered that I might ever have an autistic child myself. And it was after the sort of, the health visitor checks that they do, and they get you to fill out that questionnaire.
Yes.
And I just ticked it very naively, no, actually, he's not doing all of these things. And then we just started the referral process, but I hadn't.
How old was he at this time, at this age?
That was his 1 year check.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, but I hadn't really considered that that there was anything too wrong. People had said
differences.
Yeah, he was a bit different. He was a twin. So his twin sister was very needy, and he just wasn't. And he didn't really look at me, and he wouldn't really respond to his name. But I knew that there wasn't anything wrong with his hearing, because he used to love his favourite programme would come on TV and he'd spin round. But I'd have never really considered that there might be another reason why he wasn't responding to the name. And I was really surprised, because I took him to his first appointment. He was only about 18 months old at this point.
That's quite early as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and the doctor said, "Oh, I'm going to be putting him forward for this autism assessment. I think your son has autism." And I thought, really? But now I look back and I think, of course, because he was non-verbal, and he wasn't really eating. And he didn't really sleep, and he used to spin around in circles, and he used to flap his hands, and I'd never even considered that.
Did you know about that at the time, though? Did you know those traits at the time?
No.
See, I think my experience with my first was very different, because my background, I did a psychology degree, specialised in developmental disorders, then went on to teach, then had my son. And from very young, probably about 6 months old, which sounds crazy young, I was thinking, there's something different here. We'd go into a noisy room, say, all children have their first birthday parties, you walk into a room, all the other children are banging away their musical toys or playing. My son would cry and scream and cling to me. I'd walk out, he'd relax. And I was sort of really quite aware of those differences from very young. He was non-verbal as well, yet hit 2, and then started speaking in sentences, and his vocabulary was insane.
Wow.
Age 2, so from literally nothing, no mum, no dad, no noise, to full sentences. And he'd say things like, I'd say to him, "Well, can you put that book back on the shelf?" I intended to put the book back on the shelf, Mummy, at 2-3 years old, and it was quite advanced.
So he's just listening, I suppose, to everyone's conversation.
It takes everything.
For me, I was sort of thinking, everyone's going, "Oh, it's very young, stop, you're overthinking this." And I'm thinking, no, and I needed to get him, his support in place before he started school. So I really pushed for that. He was diagnosed age 4. He's academically incredibly bright, but just cannot cope with the school environment at all. And my second child she's just been diagnosed with autism as well. So she's very different. Very different.
There's lots of
Yeah.
So I've got a son with Asperger's, and he lives with my ex-wife in Portugal, and I remember going over there to see him. And when I had him, a school friend had a birthday party, and this school friend in Portugal his family was builders, and they had this massive place, and it had a five-a-side football pitch in it, and they were all playing football. There was a clown there was a burger stall there. All the kids were going mental, and my son was playing with a traffic cone and a ball by himself or something like that. And that's when I thought, it's something slightly different here going on. It was fine, and he was fine with his friends. He got on with his friends.
Yeah.
From a very young age, fluent in Portuguese. Him and his brother used to row in school in Portuguese when I pick them up. And then as they burst through the door to leave the school, that row continued, but straight into English. Really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's doing fine now. He was doing fine anyway. But yeah, it's like you can just tell, can't you? You just got those traits. Yeah.
But it's hard to, children can be like that and not have autism, right? So it's just finding out what actually tips it over the edge into autism. Because I know sometimes our son goes to a birthday party and he's like, "Oh, Mum, don't leave," because he's just clingy, So I suppose there's a line of, right, okay, this is just a clingy child, or this is just a child that doesn't want to really be here. And then actually this child has autism as well. So there's that fine sort of line between your child's attitudes and behaviours, which is normal to you, but not normal to someone else looking on, right?
Yeah, I think it's just more than just one specific thing, there's lots of
There's
different...
loads,
It's the whole neurodevelopmental profile that they'd be looking at, and the speech and the language and the social communication and lots of things go into that. I mean, we don't do those assessments. That's not what we do.
Is that what has to?
Well, it would be like through the neurodevelopmental paediatricians,
right? At such a young age.
Yeah.
So where do you guys
at
come
any age?
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's their area. So whereas Laura's basically, the reason that we met is basically Laura helped me as a family, supported me all the way through the EHCP process. So I applied for an EHCP, which is an education, health and care plan for my son. He wasn't coping in school. He needed more support. School was saying, this isn't working. And so I went through the process, really pleased. It got accepted really quickly, which was quite lucky.
Because those can take quite a long time sometimes,
They
can't
can,
they?
yeah. I was quite lucky. His got accepted very quickly. We got the education psychologist, got it all through quickly, and then hit the stumbling block of, well, you've got 15 days now, find a school for him as a parent, which for me was really overwhelming. I thought I'd found a school for him. That school then said, no, sorry, we won't take him through consultation. We don't feel he's the right fit. And then luckily I found Laura, who basically then said to me, these are your rights. This is where you go next. So Laura has been with me through the whole journey, right the way through to tribunal, which is basically with a judge, where the judge sits down with all the evidence and decides what is going to happen.
So can the judge say to the schools, no, he's going to the school? Or how does the process work, and how did you find Laura?
Yeah, so basically it's a statutory process. So if a parent identifies or a school identifies that the child needs, then you apply for an EHCP or an EHC needs assessment through the local authority. And within 6 weeks, the local authority need to make a decision about whether they are going to make that assessment or not. And if they choose not to make that assessment, then it could be that the parents then need to appeal that. And then that would be where I come in. I help with the appeal. I'd look at, I can even help with the initial bit, actually writing the EHC needs assessment. So looking at all the evidence that the family actually has from the school, from the professionals, putting that all together, because this whole process, even though it is schools and parents that are having to complete the paperwork, it's actually a legal process. So you've effectively got parents and other professionals who are going through this legal process.
But some of them, I would have trouble doing that, filling that in.
Well, some of the parents that I work with, they've got their own needs.
Yeah, exactly.
They might be dyslexic. They might not even be able to read and write, some of the families. And
so it's like giving
feels
them
really unfair.
It's like a divorce and saying, handle it yourself without the lawyers, without everything like that, right?
Yeah, I suppose you could.
Going through.
Yeah,
I mean, I know when
would.
I got my court bundle through the door, it was 482 pages long.
Oh my gosh.
And the
So
expectation...
for me, that would be overwhelming. Now, I can read and write, but to see that much
this
print
thick.
would just throw me completely.
It was this thick. There was instructions in it. There were dates to meet. There were deadlines to meet. And they're very specific. They're very specific with what you need to send, what needs to be done by that date. You can't miss those dates. The overwhelm and sense of emotional drain on you as a parent going through that, while trying to also, let's not forget, my son's needs didn't go away while this was happening. He was still refusing to go to school because he wasn't managing. You know, I suppose refusing to go to school is the wrong term. He wasn't able to go to school. He was still anxious beyond belief. You know, so the strain on us as a family at home was really huge. And then you put into this, right, well, here's a legal process you've got to navigate through while dealing with the overwhelming emotion of your child and the overwhelming emotion of your child of the fact that the local authority basically telling me we can't find a school for him.
Do you feel they try and make it hard on purpose sometimes?
The whole process.
Because there's a lot of things in life
bound,
like that, isn't there?
Yeah, the whole process is bound by red tape completely. Yeah. You know, there are free services out there available to parents, but I find that families that I work with, they've tried to access these free services, but they don't meet the criteria, or you know they haven't had other referrals before that one, so they can't access the service that they actually need.
Or it's like check back for an appointment at some point. You check every minute of the day. I mean, I know I did that before I found Laura, literally checking continually, thinking, well, there's still no, you know, there'll be appointments soon or when, or they don't answer the phone. And having somebody...
How did you find Laura? Sorry.
Brilliant. Having somebody objective to come in and say to you, no, this is your rights. This is what we're going to do. Here's our plan. And I'm going to help you.
I mean, literally. How did you literally find her?
How did I literally find her? On the internet, basically, through searching. And then, and I will, you know, say to a lot of people, if I know anybody in the circumstances, go and speak to Laura for an advice call, because even just that half an hour of, right, okay, here's where we are. This is the step that needs to happen next, and I can help you do that. Laura took so much pressure off me because just being in that, I was living in limbo and I mean, I was quite lucky because I got quite a soon tribunal date because my son was out of school completely. So 6 months.
But some families that I work with, their tribunal dates are 12, 14 months away. So they're already in a crisis point, effectively, by the time they actually realise that they need a bit of help when they come to me.
And all this while, the child isn't able to go to school? Is this...
Some children are and some children aren't. All children are different. Some children some families that I work with, they've got children who are currently in school.
Right.
But then their needs are so significant and change through the waiting of the tribunal date that actually they're now no longer able to go to school. I mean...
Which is the case. So my son was in school and then his needs he just hit burnout. Yeah. He was so overwhelmed with constantly masking and trying every day in school and holding all his emotions in, he just couldn't do it anymore.
So if you obviously got the diagnosis from the GP and from the what did you say, the psychiatrist?
Oh, it's not the GP. No, it wouldn't be a GP.
Right.
So paediatrician. So there's like a team. So paediatrician, clinical psychologist, speech and language. So like it's like a team.
Right. Okay. So they would actually give you the diagnosis. Is there any way of putting this in place before they go to school, or do they have to be at school age on the verge of going to school before you can do any of this?
Oh, they don't need a diagnosis to have an EHCP plan because it's all based on need. Basically, that diagnosis just gives the need a name.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. So you don't actually need that. You can just go for an
EHCP. They're from 0 to 25. Right. So if a child is born with lots of diagnosis and health problems, they can effectively have one from then because it puts all the education and all the health needs and provisions into that EHCP.
Right. So I think for me, one of my regrets with my son is he had specialist teaching service and things involved at nursery. I mean, it was quite from age 2, 3, is I wish I'd pushed for an EHCP earlier than I did. Like, you get put off, I applied for one when he was 7, I got knocked back. And I wish I'd actually had a service like Laura I could have rung for advice and said, what do I do now? Because I then went, okay, well, I clearly don't have enough evidence. I'm going to have to wait. By which point we hit severe crisis point of he has now been out of school for, must be 15 months.
And do you get penalised for that because he's out of school?
I did get threatened with fines. I did get taken down through 2 different attendance services, but it wasn't for want of trying. And I was lucky that the school was saying, it's not, mum can't be bothered to bring her child to school. And we tried everything from part-time timetables to every.
But equally, I have worked with families who have been prosecuted for effectively for not safeguarding their child's education. And these are professional people. These are professionals. These are paramedics. These are people that hold, qualification, and that actually impacts on families in a way that they're now having to decide, am I going to lose my livelihood and be able to provide and put food on the table for my family?
Because they might have other families, right? Other family members in that close-knit space.
Or do I send my child to an environment that they can't go to?
And I suppose the school then phone up pretty much every day saying, this has happened, please come and collect your son, or anything like that as well. So that would interrupt their day as well.
It's a really difficult situation.
Are schools gradually getting educated on this, really, or not? And in my experience, which is limited experience, I know someone that's got a lot of kids in that similar situation. She basically homeschooled them in the end. And I think some people just go for that because they've got no answer, have they?
Yeah.
Do you feel that's the case?
I think you can have some schools that are great and do try within their budget, within the limits that they actually have. I mean, I've been on the other side of the table having taught, so I can.
So you do feel their hands are tied?
At some points, yes. And despite sometimes schools who are trying their best and who are fighting for those children, they are constrained by what they're allowed to do, budgets, as awful as that sounds, they don't always have it. And you can also have the other side of schools who just don't get it and don't do enough and don't have enough training. I mean, that I think is a huge, huge issue in schools, is the severe lack of training around SEND.
So one of my other children, he had his diagnosis of autism before he started school. And when he started school, I'd said to the teachers, well, what support can we put in place for him while he's at school? And I was told, well, we'll just have to see what areas of difficulty actually has first before we give him any support. So he started in September, and then we had the parents' meeting in December. And I was really concerned, and I was like, he's just not getting his phonics at all. He's just not really understanding. He won't allow me to read to him. He's hanging himself upside down, like on the sofa. Like there's just no engagement in books at all. And I was told, don't worry, all children, they develop at different rates. And I'm thinking, yeah, but my son does already have a diagnosis of autism, so we know that could potentially be a barrier to his learning. I was told to just wait and leave it. And then we got to the April, and again, a parents' evening, he still had made no progress. And I had said that I was really concerned again. And again, I was told, don't worry, it's fine. He'll catch up. And I'm thinking, will he? Because all the other kids have been at school since September. They're now reading books with words, and my son won't even look at a book with pictures. And then by the end of the reception, I thought, no, I'm going to move him. That's it. Like, I've had enough with this school, really, because I'm not getting the support that I feel that he needs. So I moved him to a different school. But I didn't say anything to the teachers. I didn't say anything about his diagnosis. I didn't say anything about his level of reading, because by that point I'd been made to feel like I was one of those parents who was constantly trying to...
Problem.
Yeah, I felt like I was the problem. So I didn't say anything. And in about 3 weeks into the school year, I was called into the office with the SENCO and the deputy head and 2 teachers, and I was like, is everything okay? And they said, well, we've got some concerns about your son, about his learning. And it almost felt like an absolute relief because I thought, yeah, I know. That's what I've been saying for the last year. But
did you mention it to them once they said it?
Yeah, I did. And they were very supportive, and they said, look, we're going to put a plan together and we'll contact the specialist teachers and we'll try and find out where these gaps are in his learning, and we'll see what we can do and everything else. And again, it got to Christmas time and I said, so what are the gaps? And they said, well, we're still looking to find out what the gaps are. And I said, oh, okay, all right. So had the parents' evening around the April time, and I said, I really just want to know what these gaps are. He's now in year 1. We're nearly at the end of year 1. What are these gaps? And they still couldn't tell me. And I thought, no, now I feel that I have to take this into my own hands. So I had to go and get assessments done myself that I paid for. So I commissioned educational psychologist, speech and language therapist, clinical psychologist and an OT.
All on your own?
All on my own, because
there isn't any...
No one else is doing it.
And you can't access the services even when you apply for them, really.
No.
There is such limited access to the services. I know I applied for Jack to go for all of them, but...
And so my son was being peeled away from the footwell of my car for the whole of his reception year. And looking back, I should never really have allowed it to happen, but I did. And, he struggled so much every morning, not wanting to go to school, the meltdowns, just everything. Anyway, I had all these assessments done, and I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, he's got real significant needs that has just gone unnoticed, basically. So I applied for the EHCP. I got turned down for that. They didn't want to issue it. I got turned down for that. It's just turned down for everything, but I've fought the whole way, and he's now in a special school. But had I not have been the one to drive that,
and at a huge financial cost to you too, because the reports are not cheap. They're not cheap. They're, they are expensive. And it's just the hassle. You've got to go and find experts as a parent. You've got to go out and find experts to actually say, these are my child's needs, instead of the local authorities actually saying, right, we're going to conduct some reports, find out what the needs are and put the support in place. You're battling while trying to manage family life and your child's needs and support your child as well. You're also trying to battle continually at every point. You feel like you're banging your head against, you're having to physically go through a brick wall to get what your child needs and deserves.
So you almost expect rejection first with all these processes. You almost expect it.
And
okay.
The local authority refused about 50% of the needs assessments straight away.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, I work with families whose children are non-verbal, significant sensory needs, health needs, medical needs. They are refused. They are refused. And it's shocking. In fact, the local authorities are disgraceful, really, in their decision-making, because there's a legal test for these needs assessments. And some of the decisions that parents are receiving in the letters that the local authorities are sending them...
Like the reason why.
Yeah. They don't even apply those legal tests at all. They just don't. There's just no mention of them. It makes you wonder sometimes whether they're even aware.
Can I ask how much you're paying for this assessment? These assessments?
Well, some of them are £1,000 an assessment.
And they're not even doing it properly by the sounds of it.
So you don't pay for the local authorities to do it. So the local authority stuff is funded by them.
Yeah.
The assessments we're talking about that we paid for is basically to get
the
evidence,
and then send it over.
To show the evidence, basically, that then...
And they're not even using that properly when you've sent it to them, basically.
No. No, because local authorities' views are that because you paid for that report, it's not
bias.
Yeah, but ultimately they commission their own educational psychologists, and these reports hold the same validity as, it doesn't matter who writes them and for whom they're written for. If that professional is registered, the tribunals have a view that they are all valid, those reports.
Because the thing is, you know, if you're going to a clinical psychologist and saying, can you please do an assessment of my child? You're not going in there and going, right, I want you to write this, this, this and this. They're not going to do, they're professionals of their own right. They will only write a report based on what they have observed and they have seen. You know, they're not going to put their professional careers on the line to write something because a parent goes in and said, I'll give you a bit of money, can you write this on the form? It doesn't work like that. So the tribunal side can see that, you know, as long as you've used HCPC registered professionals.
Do you want me to move that out a bit so you've got a bit more leg room?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
As long as you've got, you know, professionals that are registered, the tribunal views their assessments with a lot of weight, don't they, as evidence? Because essentially the tribunal is there for the needs of the child, for what the child needs.
Do you see poorer families struggling more, or do you see the fact that the poorer families may be highlighted in the school a bit more and then get more help?
No.
Right.
Do you know what I think? Do you know what I think it is? It's the parents that have got that bit of
Fight.
Yeah, because I work with families. I mean, obviously there is a cost implication, isn't there? Because
well, there's a cost implication to pay for the extra assessment.
Yes.
But with these poorer families, they can't afford it, and maybe they don't even know about the extra assessment.
They just have to
but
have
they
the
maybe
assessment.
that. I'm going to say I'm wrong here, but you know, maybe they're getting noticed more anyway because they're seen as a poorer family. Does that make sense? Am I making sense or not?
No, I don't. No, you are making sense, but I don't think that it necessarily matters in that way. I think that there's just a lot of pushback.
Right.
Anyway, regardless of whether you've got money to spend on assessments or not.
And then you've got to just, people just go, oh, okay, and then just carry on struggling.
Yeah, I think
you've got the others to go, no, there's something wrong. He needs help. He needs
And it's those people that get the attention.
Yeah. I mean, you speak to parents. Oh, sorry. You speak to parents.
Just so you know, but this is quite a serious podcast. So I've mentioned it. If you hit the mic 3 times, you have to tell us a story about yourself.
An embarrassing story.
So you've hit it twice, but I'm going to let you off. So you've got mic
one.
Mic 1.
Mic 1.
Yeah. Right.
Keep your hands to yourself now. I've got to sit on them. I haven't got any stories about myself.
Yeah, righto. But I feel sorry for you because you have got a mic on each hand.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm quite glad I chose this place now.
This is the most serious I think we've had a podcast, right, isn't it?
And I don't even know why I'm sitting in between 2 people. I don't even like people. No, I'm joking.
She needs assessing.
Well, you know, the apple never really falls so far from the tree, does it? Yeah.
So with these assessments with your boys, they're both boys, you said, didn't they? The boys, or your children. Where do you have to mentally prepare them for them? Because sometimes, I mean, how do they do the assessment
done? Go through an assessment for us, one that you've paid to have.
Oh, so it's really difficult to say because some children can mask and some can't. But I think that the professionals that do these assessments, they're so qualified that they can see through that.
And they also, that was my worry because my children mask really highly, like no emotion, no. If you said to them, oh, would you like to sit there? Yes, please. It would be like whatever I can do to please you, to get you to stop talking to me will be the most. But actually they're really skilled, the professionals that you use. Yeah. They're really lovely. They're really understanding. And they're obviously really, really aware of what children's needs are and what they may find difficult. So they find really creative ways to talk. And they try to keep the stress to the absolute minimum.
So they interact with the children when they're doing the assessments, or do they sort of just observe the children in
it depends on what the child's needs are, where they're doing the observation and what the child's whether the child can interact with them, whether they can't, whether they want to interact. They don't push.
And can you send footage? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
I have never, before they do any of these assessments, because of course there's different disciplines that do different types, they all send out questionnaires to you, so you can very much put your opinion forward, and then they'll send questionnaires to the school, so they'll get a good view on both. And then some of the assessors actually will go into a school and they'll do face-to-face assessments with the child in school. They'll do those assessments outside of school. They'll speak to teachers, SENCOs. So they sort of get quite a broad picture, really.
But I think what is, you get a report at the end of it that basically says, these are your child's needs and here are the suggestions for support. And that's what's severely missing a lot of the time from an EHCP when you receive it, is the substance isn't there in it, is it? It's not there. Ultimately, children, you're only going through this process to find the best support for your child. Parents aren't going through it for any other reason.
No,
they don't want to inconvenience the school. They don't want to inconvenience. They just want what is best for their child to thrive. And that is kind of where Laura's great, because she comes in and can look at those reports with a fine tooth comb and literally goes through them line by line and saying, right, here are the needs, here is the support, this is what your EHCP should be made of. It's these things that will help your child be able to thrive in education, whatever that setting is.
So are you used to these reports now? Do you know them off by heart? Sort of if you were going to give someone and you say, right, okay, I've had this before, this is the bits that you need to do, you need to highlight this, you need to literally go through them like that.
I think the only thing that I could probably guarantee is that if a person hasn't had the EHCP professionally checked, it's probably not worded correctly.
Right, okay.
It's probably not written correctly by the local authority. Because what you've got to remember is that the EHCP is a legally binding document. So it's got provision within that document that needs to be provided. That provision needs to be secured by the local authority for that child in school or out of school. So along with that does come funding. So if these provisions aren't written correctly inside the EHCP, or they're written really vaguely, then they don't become enforceable.
And that's like where you come in. You go through the whole thing.
Absolutely. So parents, when they get the EHCP, sometimes think, oh, relief, I've now got what I've been fighting for such a long time. And then they might come to me and say, but the school aren't delivering it and the local authority aren't responding to me. And I say, well, let's have a look at your EHCP. And I look at it and I say, well, actually, it's not even enforceable. Now, it's just the way that the local authority have written the EHCP. But when you actually look at the report that was used by the local authority to write the EHCP, it doesn't match.
Right.
It's written in a very specified way in the actual report, but how that is then translated into the EHCP by the LA, the local authority, is completely different.
So how can that be changed? You have to go back to the local authority and get them to change it, or can you change it?
So I do EHCP checks. So I check for sort of like legal adherence and wording and specification and quantification of reports, and then it would then be parents appealing.
Right, okay.
And then I'm able to help with the appeal, so I can write the grounds of appeal, or I can talk a family through how to rewrite it.
So essentially then you
Blimey.
hopefully you hope that the local authority sees sense before they drag you to tribunal, but in my case, not the case. So we went to tribunal and so there's a panel of 3 experts, one's a judge and 2 experts, and then you basically spend the day.
But if they've written it wrong, on what grounds do they have to support them rather than you? If that makes sense.
Well, that's where it's all just really unfair.
Yeah.
Because there's no accountability.
Because essentially in an EHCP you want what, who, where, when, how.
What
it's
support you're going to give me.
Yeah, what support you're going to get, who's it being delivered by, how long is it for, how often is it going to be, so that basically somebody can, in a school, can pick up that document and go, right, okay, they need this, say, sensory circuits every day 5 minutes in the morning, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is who's going to deliver it. Then the school can pick it up and put it in place. If you've got something that doesn't say who can deliver it, doesn't say how long, doesn't say when, where, you can't even use that document as a school. You can't pick that up and put anything in place because it doesn't. And then as a parent, you can't go in and say, well, you're not providing that because there's no specification and quantification in the document. It is quite shocking when you look at the quality of some of what is coming out.
So with the reports that come back, how many would you say are correct and that could move forward on this, and how many need to go back to?
I've never seen one.
Really?
I've never seen one. I've never seen one that I've thought,
that's
wow,
all right.
That's
perfect. No.
I think the really difficult thing is they send you a draft and they give you 15 days as a parent. You get the draft, you've got 15 days to tell us if you want anything changed or not. And that is a really crucial period. To me, and they're also saying, and which setting you want, where do you want your child to go? What's your parental preference for school? So for me, I didn't even think, I thought, right, I've got the EHCP, I'm not even going to look at that.
Now you recommend the school to me.
Where am I going for what? I've now got to look for a school. Where am I going? So I put all my efforts into that. And then it wasn't until we couldn't find a school, that I went through the EHCP and I thought, oh my God, this is, like, how is this going to happen? Because it doesn't make sense. This has been missed, that's been missed. So it's a real minefield for parents to navigate without expert support.
Stressing me out just thinking about it.
What needs to change then? What department need to change?
What improvements would you recommend? Good luck.
How long have you got?
Let's sit back and...
Wow.
How long have we got?
Yeah, that is a real topic in itself, isn't it?
Is there enough schools, special schools?
No.
There's not enough schools. No, there isn't. And there also isn't, I think the biggest thing is there's no accountability for the local authority.
And there's a lot of kids slipping through the net as well, isn't there? Because there's a higher percentage.
Well, this is what they call the in-betweeners, isn't it? The children that aren't suitable
really
for the mainstream school.
Yeah.
But they're not suitable for the maintained SEND schools, because the maintained SEND schools are the children that have got, the real profound, complex, significant, like in nappies, non-verbal, lots of health needs. Right. For those children. So of course the children that are in mainstream that are struggling, they're not suitable for that school, for those schools anyway, because even if they had a space, they'd lose a peer group,
which is
and
what
it's more, am I right in thinking that that's like the dyslexia kids, the kids that are just having a little bit of trouble like that, rather than like the full-on autism type kids?
It can be for any child.
But would you say they're the in-betweeners, those ones that are just struggling a little bit, maybe
not
just on...
No, not necessarily.
No.
I would say you get lots of autistic children that are also in-betweeners.
Yeah, that are really good at masking.
There are very, very few specialist schools for children who are academically able that are maintained as well in Kent. Yeah. That's a really, really difficult thing. And that's what I found with a lot of the local authority was sending out consultations to schools and saying, have a look at this child, see if you can take them, coming back. No.
So you almost need a school in the middle.
Yeah.
For people who can't mainstream school, but don't want to go to these special adapted SEND schools. There needs to be something in the middle.
They are there.
Right.
But they're not provided by the local authority. They are independent schools.
Right.
And so the local authority will always argue that these schools cost too much money. Well, of course they do, because they're never going to be as cheap as a maintained school that they run. So that also forces families into tribunal situations, because that is the only way that these parents can get their children in there.
I think the frustrating thing is the local authority's default is send that child to mainstream school. So they couldn't find a specialist school for my child to go to. So their default was leave him at his mainstream school, name that on his EHCP. And I'm like, but he's not attending, he can't attend. Yeah, but we can't find one. So if you just put that, it'll be fine. And I was like, no way. But you're having to fight something that you're not you know,
because they don't see what your child's needs are. They don't have to deal. Your child to them is a number or a case number, or a case number or something like that. But to you, every morning it's that whole struggle of getting them in the car, school's going to be all right, don't worry, and then having that whole meltdown before school, after school, and everything like that. They don't see all of that. They don't see the stress that it brings. It's just, to them, your child is a number. Do they tick the boxes? If they don't, next case.
But do you know what, though? They do see some of it, because some of these children are having to be peeled off their parents at the door or shoved through a door. They do see it, but of course, as soon as that child is through the door, it then becomes, well, everything's fine. But actually it's not fine. Or teachers will check in with children and say, "Are you okay?" And the child will go, that doesn't mean that you are okay.
There's loads of levels that need altering, isn't there? Because
my
it needs
child's
to
kind of default response is, if I say yes, they go away. If I say no, they stay. Well, what are you going to say? If you're a child who doesn't really want to talk about what's going on, you're trying to hold it together, you're going to say, "Yes, I'm fine," and then they're going to go as quick as possible.
See, every school needs a specialist to notice these things, don't they? And I suppose they haven't all got them, have they? There may be one or two dotted around.
There needs to be a huge amount more of training.
When it comes to the
staff.
training,
Because actually, you know, when you train to be a teacher, as part of your degree, that training isn't necessarily there.
No, that's not there. No.
That level of understanding, and you know, the government are trying to push everybody into a mainstream school without providing that for staff. So you're actually putting staff in a really difficult position, as well as parents as well. And actually, who misses out is the children. The children are suffering.
Do you feel the kids or the schools could change where they've got a section like that in their school that copes with the kids
There are some.
Our school has that.
Schools.
Our school's got a SEND. I literally had an email this morning about it. So Painters Asher, where we take our son, has got a dedicated SEND, and they send out SEND emails and SEND messages and SEND group activities that they're organising.
Yeah, but they're still in the class with other kids probably masking.
What you're
see what
referring to is called an SRP. So there is like a school, a unit within a school. There are some of those in Kent, but again, they're smaller.
They're all set up differently.
And
they're all different,
I used to have I'm 50, so I'm talking...
No, you're not.
No, don't look it up. So I'm talking about 38 years ago. You know, I struggled. I was dyslexic, but that word wasn't invented when I was at school. I was just thick, basically. And I had to go to a special class every now for English. Maths, I was fine. And then you just got stick from your mates. You just got major stick. So a part of me don't think that a school having that section really does help, because they get stick for being in that section rather than just going to a school where you've all got...
Well, some children don't want to feel different to their peers.
Yeah.
They don't want to be taken out. And also, when you think a child in a mainstream school being taken out of a classroom to have these interventions in play, like interventions take place, they're still missing out what's being done in the classroom. So when do they catch up on that stuff?
Well, they need to learn that stuff while
but
in the environment that they're good for, you know, that's the thing.
Because that's what, I mean, Ted gets, because our son, I think he's a bit like you, I think he's a bit dyslexic. So he loves reading, but on his own terms. If you give him a choice of books, he will pick the one he wants and he'll read that one. But if you said to him, you must read this, no, I'm all right, you know, I'll rather read this one, but if you make me read that, I'm not interested. But he has interventions at school, doesn't he? I said, so what are you missing then if you're not doing that class? And he said, oh, normally PE or PHSE or... And I'm thinking, you're taking that away from my son. Why can't he play PE with all of his other friends? Or
and
why can't
yet,
he do that?
in a special school, that's exactly what they do. So one of my sons... Well, I've got 4 children that are in a special school now. And... one of my sons, he's got a personalised timetable. So all the children in the class have got their own personalised timetable for all the interventions that they need. None of them miss out on anything. Perfect. It's all included. But equally, they teach a dyslexia reading programme to all the children in the class, regardless of whether they are dyslexic or not. Obviously, in a special school that's like an independent school, they're going to have more money than what they do in a local authority school. You see, even the SENCO, when my child was in a mainstream setting, the SENCO wasn't just the SENCO. I mean, he was an amazing man, really, for like everything that he did and the amount of support that he put in place, that he could put in place. But he was the SENCO, he was the deputy head, he was also the history teacher, he was also a designated safeguarding lead. And how can you be all of those things and be good at all of those things equally?
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, they just give it to one person to deal with.
Yeah,
you're going to be that. We need that. You're going to do that bit. Like a health and safety officer. You can be the health and safety person. That's what it's like, isn't it? That's how they're treating it at the moment.
And I think the problem is the severe lack of funding in schools is just shocking.
Yeah.
As well. So even when schools want to do something, want to put something in place, they're being told, no, there's no funding for that. No, you can't have that. There isn't funding for that. So it's a pretty dismal situation at the moment. It really is. Yeah, and as I said, the kids are the ones that are missing out.
Yeah,
they're the ones that are suffering, and it, the appeal process is something that parents don't want to go through, but do to get the things that their child needs put in place.
What do you feel can be done to improve it all? Who should be hearing this podcast, really?
Really, it goes from the very top. It goes from government down.
Yeah,
it's not just the local authority up, it's government down. I'm sure that you probably heard in the newspapers and the rumours about them wanting to take EHCPs away from all children in mainstream schools. That's, we know that children in special schools are going to be getting a level of specialist provision purely because of the nature of where they are. But what about the children that are in mainstream schools? What happens to them?
What happens to the parents that aren't educated like you two, in the sense that they can pick up on the signs that they have, they can pick up on all these little abilities like the non-verbal, the non-eye contact. What happens if a parent doesn't know these things, sends them to a mainstream school, and then they're almost stuck in that system, right?
That's literally, that's common, isn't it? It's just common.
It is.
But now that they've taken away the EHCPs, then they
haven't taken them away yet, and the laws haven't been changed yet. It's just rumours at the moment. But with these rumours,
funding,
basically
it comes down to money,
because local authorities are essentially bankrupt or on the verge of bankruptcy. So it's a way of getting it back. But it's a real dire situation, but equally not just for those parents who aren't necessarily able to read or write or able to put a letter together. I work with families. Some of the parents that I work with, they've got money. They've got real superpower jobs. They're busy people. But emotionally, they are on their knees.
Struggling,
And they're like, well, I've done all these assessments and I've done all of these things that I need to do, and I've just had enough.
Yeah, the court side of things and the legal paperwork and making sure you hit those
grinding
deadlines.
You down.
It does, and it's just an extra. You live constantly in fear and stress. Whereas if you can have some pass it over and go, here you go, Laura. Can you please meet my deadlines? Can you tell me when my deadlines are? Can you just inform me that that's happening? And it's it's that weight.
And you can literally do that for them.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
Yeah, and not just knowing about the whole sort of legal process behind why we're doing what we're doing, but I've been there too. I've been to tribunal more than once for all four of my children.
Can you go for someone else? Can you be someone else's tribunal?
Represent someone.
I can.
So someone can literally contact you and say, my son's got these problems.
Yeah.
Help me.
Please.
So Laura was there for my tribunal with me.
Right.
Yeah.
And just having somebody else there, because I was really nervous. I've never been in a situation where I've had to talk to a judge about anything.
Yeah.
Let alone something that to me was so important.
Apart from that nightclub incident you had once.
Something that's so important for me and for my family and for my child. It was a really, stressful situation to be in.
So I can take it right from the very beginning. So if a parent comes to me and says, oh, I think that my child might be struggling, I can give the advice. If we then want to progress on to an EHC needs assessment, I can write that. If we have to go to appeal, I can help with that. Writing it, advising parents what they need to do, or attending the tribunal. Once they issue a draft, I can check the draft. If they ignore all the representations that are in the draft and we have to go to mediation or appeal, I can help with that. Actually, at the appeal itself, I can prepare the whole case and then the parents can attend, or I can attend and support at that too.
And then you've also got the option to have law at school meetings, local authority meetings, or annual reviews as well, looking at each.
So I may already ask you this, Laura. Have you got some legal background, or what did you do before you started this?
So actually, when I left school, I was a nurse.
Okay.
I was a registered nurse. So healthcare background, intensive care nurse.
Wow.
I worked in palliative care, and I also was at 111 as well as a clinical network manager. So managing like clinical safety across our network. So I suppose really for me, it's a complete change in career for me, but it's so relevant to my life. And now shifts don't work for me, can't work for me. I've got one of my children is very severely disabled, actually. He's non-verbal in nappies, can't feed himself. He's got real high significant needs. So for us as a family,
so you have four kids?
No, I've got 6, actually.
I've got 5. Not me one.
I've got 6 children, but 4 of whom currently have got diagnosis.
And that, has your husband or you got any sort of previous diagnosis? Can it come down? Because that's really unlucky. You know what I mean? I've got, I don't mean to say that disrespectfully, but that's a big grind for you, having to deal with 4 kids.
Yeah, so you never really know what you're going to get, do you?
Obviously. No, I completely understand. I don't sound disrespectful saying that.
No,
it's just,
we've had, so all my 4 children have had genetic testing done, and nothing has come back from that. Yeah. There are second level testing that you can have done, so we are going through that. But, all of my 4 children that have a diagnosis of autism, not one of them is the same.
Right, okay.
They are all
different
completely different.
Yeah.
On paper, they have the same diagnosis. ADHD.
It's such a spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
autism.
so vast, isn't it?
And they are all different. They all have sensory needs. Their sensory needs are all different. They're not copy and paste of each other.
No.
You must be exhausted. Are you not exhausted?
I don't know any different.
That's it, yeah.
No, I don't know any different. And fortunately for me, I've got a good partner. Like my children's dad is amazing, and I've got good parents as well.
Yeah.
And without that, we would be a family that really struggled actually. But we've been able to make adaptations to our work lives and our home to make it work for us.
I hope I wasn't being disrespectful saying what I said, but it must be. Oh, blimey. You know what I mean?
It is hard. I can't dress it up and say like, oh, it's all wonderful.
No.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard, and it's hard.
It's harder
when,
than 6.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it is. But they all like routine. I like routine. Children like routine anyway. So
what's the age range? Would you go from to what? Go on. I've got a better range than you.
I think so.
30 to 8. Mine.
Yeah. No, I'm at the opposite end of that. So
you're really tight.
Yeah. So I had 2 sets of twins.
Oh my
God.
But
I'm going to go to sleep before this podcast is over. Oh my goodness.
I had 2 sets of twins, 16 months apart.
So you have 4 kids in the space of like 18 months. Oh my God, that stresses me out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But the twins.
God, who invited these two on?
I have a set of twins too.
Oh my God.
So I've got 4 kids.
I'm just going to grab that duvet.
Yeah, we've got 10
Have a lay down.
between us.
You got what?
10 children between us.
Oh my
Quite a
God.
miracle that we're even out anyway. It's what we say, isn't it?
So we've
Like,
got 15 between us. Should we all just go kid? Why are we even talking? Let's just use this couple of hours or an hour, however long, to have a sleep.
Let's have a glass of wine.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So my children are from 7 down to 2. Well, he'll be 2 at the end of this month. So yeah, I had them all very, very quickly.
So it's not all the ones with the issues or the ADHD aren't all the twins.
No.
Right.
No, they're not. No.
I've got nothing else to go with that. I was just curious, that's all. How about your twins?
my twins are 3.5.
Yeah.
And then
I was going to thought you was going to come up with another age then. 3.5 and 5. Blimey. What, do you leave your tights on?
and then my oldest are 9 and 10.
Right, yeah, but which ones have got ADHD?
My oldest.
You're old, so the twins.
9.
Yeah.
So my 2 with diagnosis. So we'll wait and see with the twins.
Right.
Because, as
Yeah.
we say, it's
hard,
hereditary.
yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
the thing is, as well, when you see the needs in your children, I can recognise things and I think, that's me. And my partner the same.
My
that's
youngest.
me.
My
And I
youngest.
think you can
Yeah.
kind of
100%.
you can kind of see it running through as
Yeah.
well. It's
My 8-year-old, from an early age, with like matchbox cars, would turn them over and do this with a wheel. I'm an engineer, and I'm curious. Where we go to Disney, and they're enjoying the
things
ride. I'm
work.
working out how it's built. I'm working out how it works. And from an early age, he turned the car over and just did that with a wheel.
And you could see
And I
his
was
little
like,
brain, like, how is
he's
this
working it out.
Yeah.
And he's working it
Yeah.
out, and that's what he's me basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not interested in anything that he's not interested in.
Yeah.
don't want to do anything, and then when he's interested in something, 100% goes
Yeah.
for it.
I think that's kind of where we came up with the event, wasn't it? On one late night phone call.
Yeah.
Where we
One
were-
very late night phone call.
It was very late night.
Like
By the
the
time we got all
2
the
a.m.
kids
one.
to bed, all 10
Bloody hell, all 10 of them.
everybody was asleep for a period of time.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to do something really positive for families because obviously the news is really doom and gloom. You're fighting. So we wanted to actually make it easier for families and bring the support and everything in one place. So for the event we've got 6 amazing guest speakers who
Okay.
are coming to speak.
Do you want to give some info on the event then?
Yeah, so it's on Friday the 26th of September this year.
Good.
So
So the podcast is out in time. That's all good.
It's between school hours, so we're sort of doing doors opening at about 9:15.
I'm glad you can remember this. 'Cause I can't.
Finishing at 2:30. And then we've got the 6 guest speakers through the day.
And where is it?
It's at Lordswood Leisure Centre.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so it's nice and local. So for your £5, which is what we are doing tickets for, because we realise that, we want to make it as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. You're going to get refreshments, lunch, 6 guest speakers and a huge range of exhibitors. We were sold out, but we have just managed to secure a bigger room there. So we have now opened up a new batch of tickets to get
Right.
more families in.
And this is like an awareness event, is it?
Yeah.
What to look for, what advice to give.
Yeah.
So the guest speakers that we've got a speech and language therapist. We've got 2 actually. We have got an educational psychologist. We have got a clinical psychologist. We've got an author and an influencer going, and she's a mum of children with SEND. And I've left somebody off that list. Who have I left off? I don't know.
Not Kelly, is it?
No,
Troubles and
no. She is coming as a stall holder,
Yeah.
as an exhibitor at the event. Because we've got various charities and SEND businesses.
Yeah.
Um,
But we've got live question and answer sessions for the education psychologists and speech and language so that parents can actually come with their questions.
Yeah.
Our clinical psychologist is going to stay after her talk, so if parents want to come and talk to her on a one-to-one basis. But we've got people who are selling sensory toys and things that will actually help. We've got charities who provide support services. We've got a huge range of
learning disability charities.
Another that's providing audiobooks. So just a huge range of, so the parents can come and have a day of information learning, support, and also networking with other parents and meeting other people who are in that situation, and a nice lunch and a cup of hot tea or coffee, which some days is, and for £5 is
£5. Perfect.
We're not doing it for profit at all. It's just for
awareness.
It's for awareness. But we want commitment to it because, of course, no one wants an empty room, do they?
No, and if it's free, people are like, should we go now?
No, people don't value free.
Yeah.
No,
They don't value
They don't.
free. Do you know, it's really interesting because like advice calls that I've done before, I've offered them free before. People don't turn up. People don't turn up to a free call. Which is a shame, really. Otherwise, I would do more, but I don't have the time. Yeah. And I'm doing an EHCP workshop as well after the event.
So everybody that attends can have access to that EHCP workshop as just an added bonus for them. But basically, we just wanted to do something positive, having been through everything ourselves with our family and our children, of just let's get everything together and try and help other families and other people. And we've decided, haven't we, with the response, that this won't just be a one-off. We're going to do this yearly with different we've had so many guest speakers contact us and say, can we please speak at your event?
We'll probably filled the next 3 years.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we just want to make something really positive so parents know that each year they can come for this day within school hours as well, because obviously when you've got children with needs, you need to be there.
And how are you advertising this to parents? In schools, going through schools? Or?
So we need to advertise to schools.
Yeah.
But we've just done social media so far, and the power of social media, honestly, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
We thought that it would just be sort of 100 people, around 100 people, and it has gone far beyond
What's the
that.
capacity there?
I think
You don't even know the capacity. They've done 10,000.
No, we do, but it's really it's about 400-500, isn't
Right.
it? Which seems far
a
too.
bit
Be
too
Wembley
big.
next time.
A bit,
isn't it?
a bit too
We're
big
not
for our
event
first.
coordinators. We don't have that level of experience. We thought we'll try one, and see how it goes.
Yeah.
But the response has been astronomical. Like, honestly, I can't. It's crazy. We've got a second room now for exhibitors, and we're hoping actually then that it will be the largest event in Kent once a year for SEND families. Actually, it's just so needed.
Yeah.
And also will just be such a nice thing to see a positive impact on other people, and giving somebody else a light at the end of the tunnel, because
it can feel so isolating.
really can.
100%.
Yeah.
It just feels it. I just feel isolated, and I haven't even got kids that really need it. You know what I mean? It just feels such.
It just feels like
like
such
you're
a
walking
battle.
through treacle type thing.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
just to know that you're going to be able to help. I mean, the sheer amount of people we've got coming already, but now we've managed to release that second batch as well. It just feels really like you're doing something positive, because there's so much, obviously, I can't do this and I've had to fight this, and it just feels like actually this is something really, really positive.
Yeah, to know they've got someone that they can go to that can sort of take a huge weight off their shoulders, I'm sure is amazing for people.
And we've got some schools going as well.
Yeah.
Some schools, like some of those independent schools that actually I don't want to hit these. Some independent schools for those children who really can't be in a mainstream but not severe enough to be in a maintained special school. We've got some of those schools coming as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of parents think that these schools are out of reach and they don't know how to access them.
Or even aware that they exist, to be honest, because unless you're really, really looking for them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I just think it would be nice for parents to actually get together with other parents that get it, because
You're not alone type
when
thing.
you've got a child who is having meltdowns because they can't cope in their environment because of the sensory overload, it can feel really really overwhelming as a parent having a child with autism.
You must blame yourself sometimes as well. You must go through that guilt trip of, God, I don't know if I can do this. You know, I'm really struggling today. I'm having a really bad day. But obviously you have to put on the mask because your kid isn't going to realise that, and you still have to be there for your child, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Like,
I think
you don't
you
have a
second guess
choice.
yourself as well, you know. Have I made this choice? Am I doing the right thing? Am I choosing the right thing? So just having somebody else to talk to who you know is in the same situation as you and saying, actually, do you know what? I've been there. I felt like that.
Yeah.
Not, they can't necessarily change anything for you, but, you know, just for somebody else to go, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, I have some days when I have a bad day, I can ring Laura up and say, oh, God, it's been really hard today. And she's like, yeah, I get it. I get that. You know, I get how difficult that is. And somebody, you know, lots of people try to understand, but it's when you get somebody that genuinely understands and gets it, it's a whole different ball game for you as well.
Well, the thing is, it's like me and Kate might be on the phone and Kate will be like, oh God, I'm really sorry about that. And I'm like, what? And she'll say, all the noise. And I'm thinking,
It's normal.
Noise?
I'm used to it.
Yeah, I'm used to that. But
Yeah, or one of us will go, I've got to go, bye, and put the phone down, and there's no sort of like, oh, she's just put the
Explanation.
phone down.
Yeah.
You're used to it,
Something's
you know.
happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that what keeps you guys motivated then to do this job and to do this work? Because sometimes you must almost want to give up on this, because sometimes it can get to the point where it's so hard, but that motivation keeps you going. Is it the success stories that you have when people do come to you and say, thank you so much for your work, it's amazing?
It's not it's not the thank you.
Oh.
It's not the appreciation for it. It's just when I work with families, I almost feel like they're a child in my own family. So I want all children to have the same opportunities as every child has. Like
Every child deserves to thrive. That's
to
the
thrive.
thing.
Yeah.
Every child deserves to thrive, and being able to be part of that journey to enable that is
It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. That's really good. Thank you guys for coming on. Really good. Should we do the questions with them, mate?
Questions?
Well, we have
Another question.
this is what we do is we offer our
This is
guests a
very
couple of these, choose a
light-hearted.
couple each, and they're just random crap questions.
All right.
okay. Now she's
Right.
nervous.
Yeah, now I'm nervous.
About like, do you believe in aliens and stuff like that?
Right, go on then. I'll go first because she's not going to go first. Right, if you could instantly master one skill, what would it be? Oh God.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't pick a question.
Oh, I don't know.
I think mine would have to be like a language. If I could learn a language like that and be able to speak it fluently, I think I'd love that.
Yeah, I think I'd like to be able to draw. That would be my thing. Be able to draw. Yeah.
Fair enough.
kids
What,
are
a gun or?
My kids are forever asking me to draw things, and when the twins at 3 go to me, but that doesn't look right, Mummy.
Oh no.
It's never good when
No, I'm not going into that one. What's one conspiracy theory you secretly think might be true? Well, it's certainly not that we are all lizards. I can assure you that.
Right, okay.
I've never heard that one anyway.
What? That
That we're
people
all
are a bit
lizards.
like lizards, yeah.
I've not heard that either. You've got that weird
You need to do-
You're making it sound like we all thought lizards.
No, do you not? You've
No.
never heard that? Oh, what's his name? I forgot what his name. He thinks that the royal family are all lizards.
What have you been watching?
No, I need to
David
find out
Attenborough?
his name. No.
And here we have the
I forgot his name. I forgot his name. You've never heard that? Give me another question.
I love David Attenborough, right? But
He's not
But
David
I know, but you
Attenborough.
wouldn't want him as a doctor, would you? Because the way he sort of describes people, like the way he describes animals, like you wouldn't want him like, sit down. Cancer. Do you see what I mean?
Just to the point.
He's just straight on it, wouldn't he? I'd be like, no, David, no. Sorry about that. Anyway, sorry.
No, but see,
That's staying in, by the way. Is that all right with you?
which bit?
Did that mean what I've just said about David Attenborough?
What's a talent you have that nobody knows about?
Giving birth.
No, yeah. Yeah, that'll do.
Getting pregnant.
That'll do. That'll definitely do.
What's the most awkward moment you've ever had in public? Did you just
Giving birth.
Apart from this podcast.
You voluntarily chose one.
What's the most awkward moment you've had in public? This one?
Yeah, probably this. I got pooed on by a seagull once. In the middle of all through my hair and all down.
Oh no.
How much did that cost you? Is it something you asked for? Or? Pooed all the way down.
It, literally.
David Icke, that's his name.
Oh, I was nearly there then.
David Icke, I'm sure it's David Icke. Yeah, conspiracy theorist. Thinks
Okay.
the royal family are lizards.
I was going to have to look this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because
You learn
sometimes you
something
see
new every
clips of
day.
their eyes rolling and things, don't you? You seen that?
No.
You should watch V. You're a bit too young to watch V.
I don't know how old you think I might be.
We do play this, but as there was two ladies on the show, we decided against it. We play a game of guess the host's age.
No. Guess
Guess the guest. Yeah, but I can't say that.
Guess your age.
We guess. Well,
Guess.
we
the
guess
guess.
your ages, and I win all the time. She's rubbish at it.
No,
So
I'm
you
just
go
more
first.
conservative with my
I just go for it.
Oh, go on then.
You guys have got to be in what, mid-30s?
Nah. I'm gonna go.
I reckon 34, 35.
Both got, considering they've got good complexions.
Oh my God,
Rach.
please. Let's just stop this section of the podcast right now.
I'm gonna go with 39 for both of you.
Oh,
Oh God.
that's really disappointing.
I said 34, 35.
You're really not very good at this game.
How old are
This is
you?
why.
36.
36.
Both 36.
Yeah, both
Yeah.
36.
Rachel's 37.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Sorry.
Get out.
Yeah, but you should have I gave an actual number. You just went early 30s, so that's 35 and below.
Mid, I said. So that's a range between 34 and 37.
Well, it makes up that bullshit.
Hey, because I'm 37.
Right, the story's now to roll.
You didn't say that you were good at it.
No,
though, that's the
exactly.
thing.
Actually, you're 38 next year. Just thought I'd let you know.
I'm 38 this year, so.
I mean
Yeah.
next month. Yeah.
We don't talk about
When this podcast is out, you're 38. Yeah. Anyway, where was we? What was we even talking about? Right, we've done the age thing.
theories.
Yeah, so you wouldn't know V then if you're 30. V used to be a thing out in the 80s, and there were aliens that came down. They looked human, but then they ripped their faces off, and they were lizards underneath.
Maybe that's where his conspiracy theory came from.
Yeah.
It used
Maybe.
to scare the hell out of me, V. I used to hate it. Do you want one more, just for a laugh? And
No. Do you?
She does. Look, she's well up
I
for it.
don't.
Go on, Kate.
Go on.
You can
Take
both
one for
answer
the
this
team.
one. You can both answer.
Oh, this is a new one.
Okay, we've both got to answer this. If you had to swap lives with somebody for a week, who would it be and what would you do first?
You're not going with each other. don't do a cop out on me.
Who would I like to swap with?
The Prime Minister.
No,
And then get some
that's
of your-
too- No, I'd like to be Thierry Henry for a week, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
What a weird thing to say. Are you an Arsenal fan?
Yes.
But like, it's not as if he's been about recently.
And my
So what's he doing? Just playing golf? Is that what you want to
no,
do?
he's a pundit now.
Oh, is it? Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
not full on 24/7 pundit.
And I could come and visit my son and it would make his absolute life.
Oh,
he'd
that's
love it.
sweet.
Nice.
He'd love it.
That's sweet. She looks disgusting.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vavavu.
Yeah, I'm not really one for. I'm not really.
You don't know celebrities.
I
Thank you
don't
so
know
much for your input.
celebrities. No, I don't.
How about that David Icke? All right.
David Icke, no.
To get in his head to see
No
what the hell
way.
he's
Can
going
you
on.
imagine? Can you imagine? Well, someone's got to think of all this weird stuff, haven't they?
So if you don't answer that, it means you've got to actually look at another question.
Really?
Yeah.
He's making up the rules
Making
now.
up the-
Yeah, you're making the rules.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
we
my
did-
show. I can make up anything.
We do have one more question for them, don't we?
Go on then.
So on our Cherrywood podcast, we ask every single one of our guests. We've got a Spotify playlist on our Cherrywood podcast. Do you guys want to add a song? You can both have a song. You don't have to be the same. So you can both have a song to add to our Cherrywood podcast playlist.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Quite on the spot.
Yeah.
Have I got to think of it now?
Yeah, right now.
You come up with Thierry Henry.
That was easier than the song.
Yeah, I know.
Especially the song that keeps going in my head that nobody wants on a podcast that the kids sing.
Go on then.
Go on then, that's got to be it.
Chicken banana. My
Chicken
3-year-old. You know, I
banana?
heard that the TikTok is some sort of TikTok dance, and it is literally
Oh, it's like
chicken
Baby
banana.
Shark kind of
And
thing.
my 3-year-old's.
And it comes with a dance.
Yeah, it comes with a dance. I don't know the dance, so don't ask me to do it.
So like apple, pen, apple.
No,
God,
like-
I shouldn't be doing this, should I?
No, like chicken, banana.
Pineapple, pen.
And my kids absolutely love it. So my 3-year-olds go around going chicken banana everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chicken banana.
It's like
if
the
you
whole
find
Baby
it.
Shark thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
baby,
it
yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit like that.
And yeah, like the pineapple pen thing.
I have no idea what that is.
No, I
Yes,
don't know
you
what
do.
that
You
is.
take a pen, you take a pineapple pen. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh my God, you definitely have seen that. These all know what I'm on about. All three of them are watching by now. They've all turned off.
Recently? Or...
Oh, 8, like 10 years.
That's probably why we were like really young.
Yeah.
We were like 21 back then, so.
Yeah, righto. Mate, you need help with your maths. Okay. Are you coming up with a song? You've given us no input with these questions.
No, I
whatsoever.
really haven't, have I?
You want a song?
What about
What
Mamma
was your first
Mia?
dance? Oh, Mamma Mia. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're
Go
not
with
married,
that
are
one.
you?
No.
Right. Okay. So it won't be your first dance.
No.
So you want Mamma
I'm not
Mia?
even sure I would have a dance anyway.
That's the spirit. Aye, mate.
I'd have to
I'll
teach
tell you what, on her
you.
wedding day, she'll still be filling out them forms for someone.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I do. Yep,
Anyway, so you're calm now, aren't you? Did you have a good time?
Yeah,
thank
it's
Good.
lovely.
you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you for
Please
coming on.
Give
Go on.
everyone your details.
All the
of
details.
Where they can find you.
Oh, yeah. So I've got a website, which is www.thesendconsultancygroup.co.uk. And all the details are on there, telephone number, all social media, everything.
And then the event that we're running is called Together for Send Families in Kent, and you can find us at www.togetherforsend.co.uk to buy your ticket.
That's amazing. Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
having
you.
us.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Right, you can see us on, I don't know, anywhere you want, and sometimes KMTV. Right, bye. Club Awesome, for autistic children and their families, a place where everyone belongs and fun knows no age limit.
Today's sponsors are
Need stunning video or photography for your big day or even your business? Cherrywood Production delivers award-winning results with a personal touch. From weddings to promotional content, we turn your vision into reality. Visit cherrywoodpro.com today. Your memories, our passion. Put your business in front of 30,000 new customers with the Hindsight Directory. This A5 full-colour magazine is delivered by Royal Mail to Maidstone, Gravesend, Medway and Bromley, with more areas to come. Visit hindsightdirectory.co.uk.
New Digital, helping businesses build their online presence with web design, SEO, Google Ads and social media. Get 10% off when you quote Cherrywood today. Visit their website at nudigitalera.co.uk.
This podcast has been brought to you by Snugdubs Campervan Hire.
Roam the world, park anywhere.
That's snugdubs.co.uk.